Welcome to the Performance Portfolio Podcast with Coop and Coop. Greg Cooper is the owner of Cooper Performance Coaching and lead instructor at Kodakwai Judo Club in Edmonton, Alberta. He is on the lifelong pursuit of helping others increase their performance. Cooper Allen is a top financial advisor from Barrie, Ontario, whose focus is empowering everyday families with advice, leadership, and tools that we should have been given in school. Together, they bridge the gap between performance and finance to help you create your own robust performance portfolio. With that, let's get into today's episode.
Happy New Year, Coop. It is 2026. And to be that guy, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you since last year.
Oh man, you went there.
Oh,
I'm surprised you didn't text me that at 12:05.
we just lost all of the viewers that were watching this. They're like, and I'm out.
Yeah, we saw it go from 1 down to 0. Not even mom stayed for that joke.
Oh, that was good. Or that was terrible, actually. I apologize to our listeners. But the
Well,
good
yeah,
thing is it's only up from there.
yeah. Well,
And
Happy New Year.
yeah,
Happy New Year.
yeah, it's been a great holiday season. And I don't hope, I know you've had your own amazing holiday season. And now that we're into 2026, we need to stay consistent. We need to keep the momentum going and we need to stay focused on our goals. So for you, Coop, what are your feelings going into a new year?
It's ebbed and flowed in different years. I've been that guy in the past where I've had elaborate, color-coded, linked to spreadsheets and documents and whatever in a game plan. And I've bought the newest app or meal plan or shoes or uh, whatever with all the intentions of I'm going to go to the gym and do 75 hard or run it 7 days a week or do that. And then there's been years where I've gone the full opposite direction and been like, I hate resolutions and this is the worst. It's so dumb. Why are the gyms packed till mid-February? And then they're empty the rest of the year. And so my over the course of my life, my brain has swung to both sides of the coin. I think I'm probably somewhere in the middle now where I love this time of year not for me. I love this time of year for seeing how many people around me are actively thinking about making some sort of change in their life because I get really uncomfortable with stagnation. And that idea that instead of being a student of life, people stop learning at 22 or at 18 when they get out of school and kind of just go about life from there. I love being around people who don't throw their dreams out the window, that keep them in the back of their mind. And maybe they don't need to always be actively chasing them. Uh, but you can just tell, like there's just a higher percentage of people who maybe want a little bit more, and they're starting to try. And uh, I think we just got to make trying cool again. And we got to make caring cool instead of making fun of people who care and making fun of people who try. I would love to be in a society where for you to be one of the cool kids, you actually have to care and have to try. And yeah, I think anytime I see someone starting a business or see somebody hitting the gym or anything like that, like I just want to try to be that guy that hypes them up. I want to try to be that guy around the holidays that's checking in with people and going, hey, I'd love to find some time to catch up in the new year. Or if a friend of mine has a business, I've sent out a bunch of texts going, hey, what's the best way I can support you in 2026? Would love to hear about your goals and what's important. Um, so yeah, there's a general positive feeling. I'm sure as we'll get into throughout the episode as well, there's also kind of a weird feeling of uh, why do you have to wait till Jan 1 for something that could have started December 20th or hey, please don't be that person that starts Jan 1 and then gives up on Jan 14. Uh, but yeah, those are kind of just some initial thoughts. I'd say mostly positive. I It probably takes me 3 months into the year if I'm writing out the date to get the year correct. I'm one of those guys that'll probably still write 2025 at the end of the date or even typing 2025 for a while. 2026 doesn't seem real. I will be that guy. It's like I feel like I'm still writing 2017 or 2019 or Sidney Crosby just scored the golden goal, not 16 years ago now, but a couple years ago. at the Olympics, and which is crazy because now he's probably going to be there again. That's the thing. You score the golden goal in the 2010 Olympics, and you're still playing in the 2026 Olympics. That'll be fun this year. But yeah, no, it's just kind of some out loud, nothing prepped, straight from the heart. So I don't know. What about you? What's I know, and you know what? Before you answer, I also know like I would imagine from a performance coaching lens and an athlete lens that you really probably hate Gen 1.
I've thought a lot about this and how I can go about this. I don't hate Gen 1. I enjoy it. There are some things I dislike about this time of year. And that is when I see people give up on themselves before they even get started. And that's why I say keep the momentum going. Even if the end of your 2025 was maybe slowing down and you weren't as focused on your goals, but you knew, okay, I'm gonna hit them back Jan 1 and get to that target that I set for myself. Great. But do yourself the service of matching your intention to your goals. If you have large goals, you need a large intention into what you're doing and how you're doing it and who you're doing it with. And the other thing I thought about over the holiday season was if I ever had a resolution, and I can't remember a year where I was like, my New Year's resolution is X. It wasn't something we did as a family when I was a kid, and it wasn't something I did as an adult because by the time I got to my life as a performance coach, I had already done a lot of personal and professional development. And anytime I started something new by hook or by crook, it was in the middle of the year or, on a normal time of year that wasn't Christmas, January 1. So, yeah, I like it for the reason that new beginnings are great. But for everybody listening, do not give up on yourself before you get started. Stick to it. If you need an accountability circle, text your buddy, text your friend, like, hey, just can you send me a message in the morning so I stick to this? Hire a coach, get a group of people, make a group chat, make a group thing on Instagram. Set yourself up for success, not to fail. And don't rely on resolutions to be, sorry about that. Don't rely on resolutions being the only reason you're doing something positive for yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm firmly of the mindset that setting a full year resolution leaves way too much room to drift, leaves way too much room for procrastination, leaves way too much room, say I'll get to it later, or uh, the flip side is maybe you're doing it well and you're hot out of the gate, and as soon as you slip up, you're like, okay, well now what's the point? And one bad day, one cheat meal, one missed gym day, whatever it is, uh, does not define your whole year. That was the biggest thing I had to learn around my health is I've started 75 hard probably 2 or 3 times now and not finished. And I haven't gone back to doing it yet because I haven't worked up my mindset. I don't think around every time, what happens every time is the day that I fail, I spiral into not doing any of those tasks anymore at all. Like it was an all or nothing thing in in years past when I've done that. Whereas lately, I've been in a really good vibe with making sure that I go to the gym 3 times a week and hitting a couple other health metrics, but also making sure that if I miss a day, I don't miss all three, and making sure that one bad decision doesn't compound into another. And I think that's a big thing that people can learn is yeah, one bad meal doesn't mean you should give up the diet. One missed workout doesn't mean you should stop working out. 1 month in business where you don't hit your goals doesn't mean you should throw the game plan out the window. And that's also another part of the challenge, I think, with 12-month goals is if you don't hit month one, then yeah, you're throwing the plan in the garbage and there's 11 months until you build a new plan instead of, hey, I'm going to set a new week resolution and I'm going to have a 7-day focus and go, like any good sports series, if I want to win the Stanley Cup, I got to beat this team 4 out of 7 games. And there's probably 4 rounds in the playoffs. Okay, so January, week one, you're in the conference quarterfinals and you got to win 4 out of 7 games, win 4 out of 7 days. You're in the conference semis. Okay, win 4 out of 7 days. Now you're in the conference finals, win 4 out of 7 days. And by the end of January, if you win 4 out of 7 days the last week of January, you've now won the Stanley Cup. And there's going to be some seasons throughout your year where you're going to miss the playoffs. There's going to be some seasons or throughout your career where you're going to miss the playoffs, some seasons throughout the career where you're going to win the Stanley Cup, and some where you're going to make the playoffs and maybe lose in the conference finals. But what if you had the opportunity to win the Stanley Cup every month and it wasn't a full year was your season, and then the next year was your next season? What if you had 12 seasons within 1 year when everyone else has one season, and you redefine what it looks like to win, so that instead of giving up for 11 months, yeah, maybe you miss the playoffs the first week of January and you're listening to this right now and it's January 6th and you go, man, I've already screwed up. I've already missed 2 of my gym days or had a cheat meal or supposed to be dry January and I had a beer. Okay. Well, it's January 6th, then go January 7th to 14th and win 4 out of 7 days. So, um, and this is just stuff that's worked for me. I mean, you're the performance coach. What do you think about this stuff?
I made a video the day after I finished 75 hard in December. And I talked about the most important day of 75 hard being the day after. There's another most important day during 75 hard or any challenge, whether it's a resolution, whether it's a group challenge, a Strava challenge, whatever it is, a personal thing. The other most important day is the day after you fail and you make that misstep. You have that drink, you eat that cookie, you missed your workout, whatever it is, and restarting immediately. Again, not giving up on yourself before you even get started. Whether it's day 5 or day 50, you haven't seen the results you wanted yet, or you haven't gotten to that target weight or your strength goal, or 3 months without a drink. But then don't let it spiral out of control. Too often in positive things, we see the pendulum swing. A lot of people get so far to this positive side and the pendulum's at the peak, but it's moving in super slow motion. And then one little misstep rockets that pendulum back to the farthest depths of that negative side, and they just go off the rails. And that's where the term yo-yo dieting comes in. Right? Old term that's been used forever. Makes me think of Homer Simpson. But that is what we need to avoid. And there's so many resources and tools, books, podcasts, audiobooks, coaches, just positive content, influencers, wherever you go to get that inspiration, to get that information, to avoid that pendulum swing and to keep that momentum going. And where you can do that actionably to your goals, because I do believe, and I do this with all my clients, I do it with myself. I have it written in my book, in my journal. Long-term goals are important, but then it's making them actionable and bite-sized, much to your point, Cooper, where yes, have a 1-year goal, have a 3-year goal, a 5-year goal, a 10-year goal. These are important things, but then make it bite-sized. 30, 60, 90 cadence is pretty common. Well, what about the week? What about the day? And that's where the power list comes into play from Andy Frisella. That's where the weekly big three come in. A day cadence is pretty bite-sized. That is pretty achievable because you can see from when you're having your morning coffee to the ideal layout of, okay, family dinner, winding down for the evening. That's something you can see. It is hard to think as we're talking right now, going, what's December 29th look like? What's December 31st look like? We can maybe guess that we're going to be at a New Year's party or a New Year's dinner, but we don't know what we'll be like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. If you do, great. You have done a ton of personal development and you have great foresight. But there's a lot of uncontrollables and unknowables that are going to happen in the next 365 days. So make it bite-sized.
Exactly. That's a piece of advice I've got recently that makes a ton of sense to me, and it's historically not really how I've operated. Uh, but I had someone I look up to in business recently say, Coop, the problem with your 1 year plan, your 3 year plan, your 5 year plan is it's based on your identity today. And if you actually just had a 1 month plan and a 3 month plan and you went and executed it, by the end of those 3 months, the way you would think differently about the next year to follow would be a lot different than you're thinking about it today. So that's what's got me in this mindset of shorter term kind of runs and plans and goals. Along similar lines, what would you say to the people having said that? Because the nice thing about living within a 5 year or 10 year plan is you can kind of just get your head in the clouds. And it's easy work. It's not for everybody, but once it's not easy work because we live in a society that teaches you how to dream or teaches you how to not dream, basically, and give up on your goals and dreams. But it's easier than doing the work. Uh, so finding that nuance to kind of like head in the clouds, feet on the ground type of thing, I think is super important, and having a vision for what the future could look like. But like you said, knowing what you need to do today. From a performance coaching lens, what would you say your advice is to the person who says, uh, hey, the problem, Greg, with winning the day or the week, or even splitting up your day into mini days and attacking it 6 till noon, noon till six, 6 till midnight type of thing. Uh, just the goal's too small. It doesn't fire me up. Like what would you say to maybe someone who throws that type of objection? No.
I get this objection often. And I hesitated on that because I used to get it more often and now I get it less often. But it's that objection exists when an individual doesn't frame their goal properly. They're looking at book one call, do one workout as like too small. But small action creates massive impact. And again, talking about momentum, it's something I've been talking about lots lately. A tidal wave doesn't become a tidal wave. Just it doesn't just pop up and become 100-foot wave. It is a ripple in the middle of the ocean, and it builds and it builds and it grows, and then it hits the right environmental setting and changes, and boom, now we have a big wave. And that's why you need to start with that big goal that feels unachievable. Now that's something substantial. So start with your big 1 year goal or 3 or 5 or 10, and then work your way back to that day goal or that morning's goal. And when you look at it, don't think of it as a small, inconspicuous thing that doesn't mean anything to you. Look at it as that is one stepping stone towards my 1 year goal. And if you need to, write that down. Write like a note. It doesn't need to be long, just when you write down, or if you're making your power list on your phone, put a note, 1 year next to it. You can't get to your 1 year goal like that, right? Time travel doesn't exist yet, and it probably never will. But to get to that 1 year goal, it's one step at a time. I frame this with all of my athletes depending on their sport. And the most recent one is one of my athletes who's a racer, the kart racer, goal to be an F1, one turn at a time. And that's how we focus on the race. It can be really daunting to think about the whole race. There's a lot of variables that play in there. He can't control every other racer on the track. He can only control his line, his focus, his pace. Great. With that in mind, instead of thinking I need to get into the top five to qualify, no, I need to do the next turn as best as I can. And then once I'm done that turn, I need to do turn two the best that I can. And that is how these small goals, because one turn, that's nothing. Yeah, but one turn leads to the rest. and that leads to that race win. And that is how you frame small goals to make them feel more substantial. So to throw it back to you, I just invested $100 this month. That seems very low. That seems like nothing. That's small potatoes. How do you frame that in the finance world for people that are starting small because that's where they're at right now?
It's so funny, man. It's all the same, right? There's in the money world, it's compound interest. In any other world, it's just compounding good decisions. And yeah, compound interest. You put $100 away, okay, gets 10% growth. It's now $110. Well, the next time it gets 10% growth, now it's not $120, it's $121 because you start to earn interest on interest. So what you've done is compounding, and then the effects of interest on interest, you've got that's where things start to become exponential. And same thing, like you said, Greg, in the performance world is you make one good decision, well, that's going to compound into another good decision. It's not just, you don't just make the same good decision over and over and over again. When I stopped drinking alcohol, well, not drinking alcohol isn't the only good decision that I make every day. It compounds into other areas of my life where I make other good decisions. Now, and I'm earning compound interest on those good decisions. So that's what that looks like in the finance world. The other thing when it comes to money is it develops the habit. And if you don't develop the habit when you have no money, it's going to be very hard to develop the habit when you do have money. Because we sit with families and their pie's this big and they're making 30 grand a year. And we sit with other families whose pie's this big and they're making 300 grand a year. And those two families are just broke on different levels. The one family rents their home and maybe has one used car. The other family owns their home and they got two brand new payments in the driveway. And they've got the dog and the pool and this, that, and the next thing, but they don't own it. The bank owns it. So, and it's because they didn't have people like us in their corner as they were making these decisions. At some points, like 10% of the time, it's just a lack of personal responsibility and awareness and not being an adult. I'd say 90% of the time, it's largely the system that we're in that doesn't educate people on this stuff, doesn't support them, which is a big part of why I'm so passionate, obviously, about what our team does. Uh, but yeah, that's the compound effect in every area, entrepreneurship, investments, performance. It's huge, and I don't think it should be understated at all.
Understatement is something that is too common these days. Everybody's so afraid of being not humble that they're, or yeah, not humble that they're so humble to a fault. Because largely, I think because of social media and just the era we live in, where, oh, that person's just famous because they're a loudmouth and they're a TikTok star. And there's all these BS excuses people use to not be themselves and not be that. Like, hey, I'm not telling you go brag about your wins and boast about everything. Completely the opposite. But don't sell yourself short in your actions, in your dreams, in your goals, in your small successes that you understate everything. Nothing to me is more frustrating than when I have athletes, friends, just even strangers, when I see like a post of like, well, it's probably nothing to you, but this is what I did. That's awesome. Or like when you see somebody post their very first woodworking project. It's their new hobby they're taking up. That first one is not going to be that great when you compare it to a master craft woodsworker. Of course not, because they haven't taken the steps to perfect the craft yet. But what about in 7 days, in 30 days, in 60 days, in 90 days? They're going to be a lot better in the gym. This time of year, my favorite people to see are the people that are uncomfortable there, that feel like they're in the wrong space, but they're there. They're doing the damn thing. And then you see, if I'm not the person, if I'm there, I'm going to go talk to them. That's just who I am as a person. But I love when I just see like the gym aficionado go over. Muscle bound, super strong, super intelligent, super friendly person go up. Hey man, this is so awesome you're here. And you see it especially in small gyms. And they give them advice. They ask them how they can help, or they see them on the machine struggling, and they might hurt themselves. And then it creates this feeling that, yeah, welcome. We know it's day one for you. We can see that, but don't be ashamed of that because everybody started there. Everybody started on day one. So congratulations. Welcome to the team. And there's not
Well,
enough of that.
and that's why so many people who've made it are so willing to give back. And why so many people who haven't made it are so confused as to why people who have are so willing to give back. Because they haven't put in the work to make it. So they don't have the before and after story yet. They don't realize how hard it was. But once you've gone through how hard it is, it becomes just so obvious that, man, I know how hard it is. So I want to be there for that person. I want to create a community. And the same way that people do that in a positive light in the gym community is a way that our entire world needs that. You see someone who's not drinking anymore, let's rally around that person. You see someone who's trying to start a business, let's rally around that person. If you're listening to this and you have a business right now and I haven't heard your business pitch, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to say no to whatever you've got for me, but there's a pretty good chance I will say yes to hopping on a call and hearing you out and saying, "Hey, let me see if there's anyone in my network who needs what you do." So don't try to recruit me because I'm pretty unrecruitable for most things, unless like you're changing the world somehow. Uh, but let me know what you got going on, because if I don't know what you got going on, how could I possibly refer people to you?
Well, and I wish because there's a lot of content, there's a lot of gym content out there of people helping less experienced people in the gym. And I know there's rules in your industry that limit the amount of that, but I know your network by extension, and that is the same feeling that your whole network has. Hey, yeah, I used to be grinding it out like Nabby. He was grinding out 4 jobs part time, and now he is killing the game. But he's not just killing the game; he's bringing everyone around him up. And you don't see that the public, the general public that's not in your world, doesn't see that enough. But touch on that. Like, how often do you feel that and see that in your day to day in the finance world?
Yeah, in our bubble, a ton. Outside of our bubble, not at all. There was a financial institution that won't be named, so that I don't get sued. Because it's sad that's how our industry works, but you can Google it and figure out who it is easy enough. They were caught in a lawsuit for multiple billions of dollars due to a money laundering scheme. And it's one of the major companies that you would put your money with. And their response to that wasn't, let's take accountability. Let's tighten up our regulations. Let's stop doing so much shady business. Their response to that was, let's to continue to give profit to our shareholders, fire 10% of our staff this year so that we can continue to turn a profit and our stock price goes up. What a joke. And then we want to walk into institutions like that and ask them for financial advice and wonder why we can't get ahead. Because none of their sales force is trained to help you. They're trained to do things that make shareholders money. And that's it. So I'm going to pause it there before I get myself in any regulatory trouble. That's where I'll stop it. But yeah, in our world, Greg, we see that all the time. Uh, we have tons of people in our environment that don't come from a financial background, and people get weirded out when I say, "Hey, I don't hire on resume, I hire on character because I can teach skill set." It's a lot harder to teach mindset. It's a lot harder to teach character, and wanting to do the right thing for people and being willing to be patient and letting it take time and not cutting a corner and putting mission before commission and finding those types of people that are willing to grind it out and do it the right way with integrity, doing the right thing for the client 100% of the time. Unfortunately, we live in a world where those people are hard to find, but when you get enough of them in a room, you create an almost cult-like environment of people doing amazing things for the community.
If I came across a genie's lamp and got a wish, I wouldn't need three. I'd make one. I would wish that more people were surrounded in environments like that, because then they would not give up on themselves. Then they would not stop when they meet the smallest amount of adversity. So treat this as your genie wish. If you're listening to this, reach out to Coop, reach out to me, reach out to that person that you look on your Instagram every day, even if you think they're out of reach. Reach out to them. The bigger the audience they have, I'm talking when they earn the millions, when they are truly the very famous, it's less likely they're going to get back to you. But Coop mentioned supporting smaller businesses and supporting people on their goals. Reach out to the coaches that you know. Reach out to the people that you know that do that for a living. The personal trainers, the performance coaches, the therapists, if that's the help you need. Those people are there to give you help. Reach out to your friend that has started a business. Reach out to your friend that is an accountant or whatever area you're looking for. Those are the people that will help you. Those are the people that are going to give you that advice if you have nobody else in your camp supporting you on your goals. There are people out there that will.
It's been one of the most interesting things that I've realized in coaching uh, different people within our business is they'll have people in their lives come up to them and say, "Hey, I'd love to do what you do, but I just don't think I'd ever have the confidence to do it." And when that person says it to them, and then they bring that information back to me, it's funny because then I come back and go, "Weren't you in that exact same position until you had me?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, good point." So, yeah, you don't need to be me because you have me. And that was my core three. There's three core things that I wrote down as you were chatting about. If someone were to say, how do I stay consistent in the new year? What are the core things that I really needed? In my opinion, the first one I wrote down is be close to the fire. And the fire is two things. One, it's your goals and your vision, and it's other people that are striving to do the same thing. You got to get around people who think bigger than you. You got to get around people who support you. As soon as you get around people that they don't have to behave like you, but as soon as they start being an antagonist in the story, they start giving you a hard time. They're making fun of you now because you're wearing a watch that tracks your steps, or they're making fun of you because you've got one of those big water bottles to get your water in, or whatever it is. And they're doing it probably from a place of love and just being one of the boys and jiving you. But you take enough of those, like it's death by a thousand paper cuts. So you got to stay close to the fire. You got to be reminding yourself of who you're doing it for and why you're doing it, and finding people who are willing to support you. Along similar lines, Greg, you mentioned earlier that your racing athlete can't control the other vehicles. So the second thing I wrote down is you can't control whether other people are negative or positive to the changes that you're trying to make. So don't worry about what you can't control. Control what you can control, which is your attitude and your activity. It's how you show up and how you're thinking about it as you're showing up. And then the third thing I wrote down is all of this. So you're close to the fire. You're staying close to people that are supporting you. You're staying close to your goals. You're controlling what you can control and tuning out. Because by the way, I mean you've got the remote. You're the one that can turn the volume down and turn the volume up. You can choose to turn the volume down on your nagging best friend or your nagging aunt or your nagging whoever and turn the volume up on Greg Cooper or Ed Milet or Andy Frisella or Tony Robbins or whoever you need to listen to fire you up to do what you need to do. No different than if we had a song that came on that we didn't like, we would turn it down. If we had a song that came on that fired us up, we would crank it up. Do the same thing with what you want to hear in the world. Your algorithm's already doing it for you. It's just doing it in a way that's controlling your mind, not helping you get to where you want to go. So create your own algorithm and start believing things that actually serve the future you to believe them. And that's the second thing. The third thing is to actually achieve it, to go from dreaming to goals and plan to actually doing is you need a simple, effective system, regardless of what it is, whether it's the power list, whether it's the big three that Greg teaches, whether it's Microsoft To Do, whether it's the Habit Share app, the Win Streak app, the whatever it is, What is your simple, effective system? Not a 20-page vision document that takes you 45 minutes to read, but what is something that you can review 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a week? It's got either easy check boxes or easy notes, or you know why Greg has 10 different books that he could probably pull up next to him and show you guys is because he's created a simple, effective system that he can do in 10 minutes or less. So those are the three things. Stay close to the fire, control what you can control, and have a simple, effective system. Do you have any ones that you'd add to that, Greg, or maybe any thoughts on the first three?
In 2026, Cooper Allen is taking my job because you nailed it. That's exactly what I would do, and that's what I do. Um, the last one is the most important, and that's where people will lie to themselves. Going back to things to stop complaining about this year, I don't have time to journal or to do a power list. I do one every morning. It takes me 5 minutes. I do it while I'm waiting for my coffee to brew. Even if you have a Keurig, okay, so your coffee's gonna brew, you're gonna have 2 more minutes. Guess what? Then your coffee's at the perfect drinking temperature, so you can take that first step and not burn your tongue. So like, you have time, trust me, and it's a simple, effective system that will help you achieve your goals, especially when you're turning up the volume and especially when you're staying close to the fire. Do those three things, and you will make 2026 a very successful year for yourself and for those people around you. And that is what I wish for everybody. And I lied. I would make a second wish if I had a genie. For people to stop being too cool for school and saying that is stupid and cutting their friends down, and more importantly, cutting ourselves down. Yeah, it's one thing if you're brothers, your buddies, and you're ribbing each other. My friends and me do it as well, but not ad nauseum. There needs to be a point where you say, hey, man, all jokes aside, I love that you are killing it in your industry and in your hobby or in your passion project or whatever that is. That is so incredible. Keep doing it. I'm proud of you. Don't be too cool to do that thing or to dress up as a girl dad. And I'm sure Cooper has pictures of him, which I'd love to see with his fingernails painted and wearing the princess costume because he is a girl dad. But don't be too cool. Live your life. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the journey and achieve your goals and bigger goals in 2026.
And one day and 1 week at a time, not 365 days. So we're not doing one podcast a year, we're doing one podcast a week. And hopefully Thursday mornings for you guys can be your TSN turning point and reset every week. So
Da-na-na, da-na-na.
awesome, Greg. Well, happy New Year, brother. We'll see you next week and looking forward to what's to come.
Sounds good, Coop. Happy New Year.